again, and session 3 for our Wellness Wednesdays with Margaret, my guest, and also my mother. Um, in the last video, we discussed your husband, or how he got cancer, and he had a heart attack and he got cancer, and you basically nursed him right up till the end. Do you want to carry on?
Yes, when he was sort of bedridden, I'd lie on the bed after work, and he wasn't eating, he was eating very little. So my favorite meal for myself was peanut butter and syrup. But one thing I did when I went to bed, I would sing from the Alexander hymn book in a very croaky voice, because my voice has gone for a loop. And then he would sometimes join me in a song that he knew, or he'd hum along,
For someone, sorry, I'm going to just interrupt you. For someone that's in the same position where they've got someone who's chronically ill, and they also maybe a Christian or not, what kind of encouragement can you give them? What kind of thing can you do to help?
I think that what you can do is not harp on the illness. Be cheerful, be encouraging, and don't allow your feelings to show. They'll come afterwards. But while that person is so ill, you need to be a rock that they can lean on. Okay. So
then after he had passed away, how did you cope?
Okay, well, first of all, I will just say to you, I watched him slowly die. He knew he was dying, and then he passed away. And I was in the house, and I spent 5 years sorting everything out and cleaning everything up and decluttering.
Why did you do that? Because some people shut the door.
Yes, that's my nature. I went through every item. I had friends who came and helped me with the paperwork, and the paperwork that they put aside to throw out or give to nursery schools or whatever, I even went through that again, and where I saw he had a signature on anything, I tore that part off, because I didn't want him connected to anything.
Do you feel it helped you grieve more by doing that?
I was too busy. I was too busy sorting it out. I think my grieving process came when I had to work in his workroom or work in his study, when I was virtually touching his stuff that he loved. He loved all his
memories.
And I didn't know what to do with the stuff. I didn't know electronics. I didn't know what to do with it.
So you must understand, he had chemicals. He could have had an explosive.
He had plenty of chemicals, and I fortunately got a man who helped me with that, and I had another man who helped me with all the electronics.
Let's just sit on that for a bit. When he passed away,
yes,
there were a lot of people, men in the church, that were actually brilliant, just like the Bible says, to help widows, that were actually good for you. Some were vultures.
Well, no, okay. The first of all, the first, which was not the first happenings after you died, but the two things, that there were two men in our church. The one cut a tree down for me and towed it away. He came a few Saturdays to do that. The other one came and he worked a whole Saturday on the electrical works and fixed up all the electrical works for me.
And he didn't need to do that.
He didn't need to do that, and his wife and I just sat and chatted, and she said, no, her husband loves helping. And this other one told me he came to help because I reminded him so much of his mother.
Oh, shame.
Yeah. But the people, when we were sorting out the garage or sorting out his stuff, a lot of them were just grabbing, and I mean, I didn't know what they were grabbing, but anyway, I don't need it now. If I do need it, I'm not aware of that I need it. So I tried to get rid of much of his stuff as quickly as possible, because he had so many degrees and he had so many interests that there was a little bit of and he kept all these things to work on when he retired one day.
So where did you find the energy to do this?
No, my adrenaline was pretty high.
Because I think you burnt out at the end.
Yes, and then, no, not at the end, about when I had to, after the first 6 months or longer, my doctors suggested I just give it a break for a while, which I did. I gave it a 6 months break because then my next job was to go into his workroom, and I could not open that door. I could not face that workroom. I cleared his study out totally. The one academic learning place came and collected all his very highfalutin books, about 5,000 of them.
No exaggeration.
No exaggeration, no. And the photography I handed in at a photography collector. And so those sort of things that had no meaning for me, I got rid of. But his workroom was the place where he went straight off to coming home from work. He'd get changed, have a cool drink, and go off to his workroom. I couldn't face that so I had to have a 6 months break. And then one day I decided, this is it. So I had my one daughter come in with her daughter to help me with the tools. And then another gentleman, a very nice gentleman, knew electronics, and he helped me with a lot of stuff, threw out what was rubbish and took what he felt he could use, and he said, there's so much stuff here that I can play such lovely games.
I want to ask you from an emotional point of view, how did you feel? Because I remember that you didn't read.
No. I didn't watch TV. I read my Bible.
You couldn't watch any heavy TV?
I couldn't watch heavy TV.
Did you manage to read your Bible?
I read my Bible. I read no other books. I only read my Bible.
And when you started to read?
I only started to read 6 years later. 6 years.
It was quite an emotional journey. Even.
Yeah. Oh yes. No, for 2.5 years I cried every single day. Every day I held my eyes out.
So if somebody says to you,
but I had the animals with me.
Yeah.
So that was a big help. But then I had to put them down. Well, I tell you what, I flooded that vet's place out from my tears.
I want to bring you back to when Dad died. And
yes.
You said to me something about linking him to your dad.
Yes. When my dad died, I don't think I really knew what was going on.
You were a little girl.
I was 6 going on 7, and you didn't talk about it. And I don't think I ever had the chance of grieving. But I think it did have its effect on me, maybe with the schoolwork, maybe with associating myself with other people. And in that time, when my own husband died, afterwards I realized I was grieving for my father and my husband. And so I was able to get rid of all of that. And I think that 2.5 years of tears, which now I can't shed a tear, but that made me realize this is, I had got rid of the desperate feelings of sadness over my father, because my husband died when I was 67, so it was from the age of 6 to 67, yeah.
So would you say it's an important thing to be crying and to actually just, people shouldn't stop it?
No. If you feel tearful, or if you feel you want to just be alone, be tearful, but don't get yourself into a pity party. Put a smile on your face, because a pity party makes you into depression eventually, and you're feeling sorry for yourself.
There has to be a time limit, almost.
No, because you see, with death, it's 1 minute you are fine, and after 3 weeks think, gee, I've managed very well, and then something happens and you're knocked down for a week or two. Then you go back, and so each session gets longer and longer and longer of being sort of settling down to the situation.
So if somebody says to you, how long is it going to take me to get over this intense pain in my heart, what would you say to them?
Oh, I think so, that every individual is different. That intense pain, for some who've lost their husbands for 20 years, is still there.
Yeah.
I have lows. Can I say lows? I don't have intense pain. And I'm almost through a 9-year period. But some people, they're still living as if their husbands are alive, you know. So, yeah, everyone reacts differently. And men, I think, react differently to women. A younger woman will react differently, especially if they've got a job, because then they've got something to do. If they've got children in the home, they've got something to put their love into. I mean, my mother was a widow for 7 years, and she put her life into her children.
Yeah.
So, yes, so everyone grieves differently. But for people who think the grieving must be over within a week or two, that to me is...
When would you say is the worst part? So your husband died, or your person dies.
Yeah.
You've got a lot of attention, you do the funeral. When would you say did it really hit home that you had lost somebody very important?
I think about a month later, because I had Lauren with me.
So when the people leave,
when you're alone in your house, when you're sorting out the things, that's when it hits you.
okay.
When you yeah.
Okay, so
And you see that person all over the place.
Yes.
Not see that person, but see, like I said, oh, I'm so sorry, I'm throwing your rubbish bin away. I don't need it anymore, you know.
Okay, just explain more about that. It's actually quite a good story. So when you felt bad about throwing these things away,
I say, Lord, please tell him I'm sorry, but I've got to throw this away.
and then it feels better.
And then I felt the load was off me. He was carrying, the Lord was carrying the load, because he had to tell Cedric.
And stupid things. I found people said stupid things to you.
Oh, they do. People come and counsel you with...
Because they're actually trying to counsel themselves and move
But
through
your
it.
mind is so dead to counselling.
No, but they
You're not
counseled you
interested.
wrongly. Telling you that they're looking at a porthole, you know, through a porthole. Sorry, I just want to. So we have to end this video just for the next break. I just want to say that when Jesus, when we are in heaven, we won't be worrying about what's happening on earth. We are eternally happy and eternally at peace.